Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Rundown. I will be your host today, Craig DeLuz, coming at you from the West Coast, the left coast, behind the Iron Curtain, otherwise known as the Sierras, from the state, known by the rest of these United States as California. But as we all know, I do not do this program by myself.
Hey, everybody, welcome back from your weekend. My name is Mike Piwowarski, your co host from the East Coast. That's the co host with the most from the coast with the most here on the Rundown. Two-way views, conservative news, and Craig, tryptophan be kicking my butt.
Man, I will tell you, I had the absolute best turkey I have ever had, and I'm all turkeyed out.
Two turkeys. We had two turkeys at the celebration this past weekend. One of them deep fried. The first time I'd ever helped deep fry a turkey, and boy, what a treat that was. That was some good stuff right there.
You know, we were going into last week. We were talking about we had all plans to deep fry a turkey. Then my wife went to buy the peanut oil, and it was like $50 for enough peanut oil to. And she was like, we were like, yeah, no, we don't like turkey that much. We already own a smoker, so we wound up smoking it, and I'm telling you, it was the juiciest white meat on a turkey that I've ever had.
I've had some great smoked turkeys. I've made them. I've done the, like I said last week, I've done the spatchcock style, regular oven style. But this turkey, when we took it out of the fryer and set it aside for a few minutes and went to cut it, and it just tore off the bone like it was barbecue. It was delicious.
Very nice, very nice. You know what's funny? I'm not a big turkey fan, but you know, Thanksgiving you do turkey. So when I have a turkey that I thoroughly enjoy, you know it's something special.
Yeah, I love turkey. I'll eat it all year long, and I'm still doing the leftovers now, but I'll buy another turkey here, shortly, and do it just to I'll try it a different way. I'll do turkey for 2-3 months, but
I was actually at a get together Saturday night, and it was kind of a potluck, and someone brought like turkey soup. Right now, I'm like, you would think, I'm sorry, but everybody's just had a lot of turkey. Why would you? He was like all excited about it. He's like, oh, so. He's like, oh, if you like turkey soup, I'm like, no, I don't. he was like,
It's like saying, hey, look, I brought leftovers for you. I repurposed them. Right? This isn't a game show. We just want you to bring some regular food. Although tonight, I think I'm going to make flaming turkey wings. I think that's what I'm going to have tonight.
Well, but I'm like this, man. Look, it's one thing if it's your leftovers, but don't bring your leftovers for others to eat.
Yeah, exactly right. What do we got in the fridge there? Put it in the pot. Put it in the pot.
Folks, just so you know, the best turkey soup, that's exactly what it is.
Yeah. Oh yeah. What do we got left over? Put it in the pot.
Yep. Anyway, moving right along. Let's go ahead and get into the stories. What?
You do that. You do that when you look at all the leftovers in the fridge and you realize there's not enough left to go around. Like, I can't make a plate of this and a plate of that. You just put what's left in the pot. Just do it. It's just half a serving of this. And,
yeah, there you go. Chocolate cream pie. I toss that in there.
Oh, there you go. That'll make it a turkey mousse soup.
Turkey mousse soup. Oh, good stuff. Good stuff. Hey, before we get started, let's go ahead and get a shout out to our sponsors.
Yeah, let's say hello to our good friends over at Hitman Industries. That's hitmanindustries.net. You know the deal. If you got yourself a rifle in the past 5 years, probably already have one of their barrels. Well, now you can go out and buy one direct for them for your next build or to rebarrel your current AR. That's hitmanindustries.net. The California Republican Assembly, you got to say hello to our good friends out there in California fighting the good fight behind enemy lines. Make sure you tune in to them, see what they've got going on. Already planning and working and selecting for the next election out there. If you need some awesome combat gear, some field gear like tactical gear, go to uscombatgear.com. And don't forget, it's Christmas time coming up. Go out and get you the best holster you can buy, the best concealment holster for you, for your friends, for whoever else at hawgholsters.com, HAWG holsters.com, and use the discount code The Rundown, all caps, all one word.
All right, now Mike, you were talking about rebarreling. Is that the same as regifting?
It's like regifting for your rifle. It's like
your
rifle.
Got it.
Yeah.
There you go. Okay.
Yeah.
I had never heard that term before. I was like, ooh, new term.
To rebarrel.
Time to define it.
And to rebarrel means to barrel again. Yeah.
To barrel again. There you go. Roll out the barrels. Oh no, wrong barrel.
We did a little of that this weekend too.
A little barrel racing.
Yeah. Well, it was a little beer barrel polka, is what it was.
Beer barrel polka.
Oh,
By the way, based on the thing we watched with the using Sanford and Son and Donald Trump and all that, I started rewatching reruns, or not rerun. I guess they're all reruns. I started watching Sanford and Son from like season 1, episode 1. I was taken aback at how cheesy it was because, well, then again, it was 1973, but it was still hilarious.
Very neat, very neat. That's actually did a little binging this weekend too on Law and Order UK. I had never seen before. It's finally available here. Been watching about five seasons into the 6th season run they did there. So
have they gone as woke as Law and Order United States?
No. I'll tell you what's really cool about it is, well, first off, you got to watch it with the closed captioning on, because you're like, what did he say? The what? They're using a lot of London slang terms or just English terms you're not familiar with, and then they do, like, every 5th or 6th episode they do a remake of an older Law and Order episode, so it's kind of cool to see how they remake it and how it works through the British judicial system.
That's an interesting concept. Where'd you watch that?
Not to plug somebody else's app on the TV, but it's called Freevee, Freevee, Freeevee.
All right, we will check it out. I will definitely have to check that out. But right now, we're going to go ahead and get into today's news stories. The first one comes from the Seattle Times, and they're raising a question, or rather, they're raising an alarm about individuals who choose to carry during protests. Now, this is something that what they're trying to say in this particular piece. Actually, this was it was originally in the New York Times, evidently. But what they're trying to say is that the law change, or at least the ruling of the Bruen decision, or the New York Rifle and Pistol decision, they're trying to say that because of that, you're starting to now see more and more, as they would like to refer to them as, right-wing extremists actually carrying firearms and rifles and open carrying at protests in order to silence any opposition. Now, Mike, you're the one who kind of shared this story, and I kind of wanted to get your take on it before I kind of chimed in on my thoughts on it. First of all, I think it depends on what state you're in that you start to see these things happening in protests. And I think in many, I'm sorry, I just said I wanted to let you chime in first, and then I started talking on it. So go ahead. I'd like to hear your thoughts on this particular piece.
Yeah, it is clearly propaganda. It's clearly meant to make gun owners and those that exercise their Second Amendment rights look like these right-wing whack jobs, and all these are gun-owning citizens, proud, responsible gun-owning citizens. There's 45 states that allow open carry, Craig. For those 5 that should be 46 now that are open carry. So for those 4 that are not, this seems like the most foreign thing in the world to you. But in many states, they want to show, if they're contesting a new Second Amendment law, because all guns are bad, right? What a better way than to show up at a rally with your firearms and show that nothing happens, right? That all we are is gun owning, gun carrying, freedom loving, Constitution loving Americans. So. On those occasions, I think it's absolutely placed correctly that you're carrying your firearm to an anti-firearm law rally to try and take away your rights from you because, oh my God, all guns are bad, they're going to kill people. Well, listen, mine's here in the holster or strapped over my back and didn't do anything wrong. What a perfect example of what real firearm owners do, or responsible legal firearm owners do. Craig, where I have an issue with it, and even the bow tie gun guy, Mr. Alan Gottlieb from Second Amendment Foundation, is quoted in this article from something he did 5 or 6 years ago. They pulled an old quote out, but it says, that if you're using your firearm to go make political points, then that's not something they support. Well, he wasn't referring to at Second Amendment rallies. Talking about, let's say there's a demonstration of, a BLM or something like that. And if you show up with your firearms and your goals to intimidate, that's not good. That's not a responsible gun owner. The good responsible gun owner doesn't use the firearm to go intimidate. However, this propaganda makes no difference between the two of them, and tries to paint all firearms displays as wildly unpopular and irresponsible.
And I guess, and here's the thing: is you're right, but then sometimes what we do is we wind up feeding into stuff like this. Like, part of our goal, in particular when it comes to open carry and the carrying of firearms, should be to normalize firearms in everyday life, right? In other words, if you're open carrying, a lot of displays of open carry, it's just like, look, just because I have a firearm doesn't make me a bad guy. I'm just like you. But you don't send that message when you're dressed like this, right? And I get it. They have every right to put on their tactical gear and their vest and all of this stuff, and their camo and their helmet. And I get that you have a right to do this. What I don't get is that they don't help with the messaging, with the thing we're trying to do. And I think that's the problem. That is, at least for me, because what you do is you create an imagery that these folks are then able to exploit. Because people think that everybody who shows up to an open carry event, or everyone who shows up to a rally or a protest who is open carrying, is that they're showing up there ready to go to war, ready to go to battle, right then and there. And I just think that it is a dangerous thing. But then again, I also, as I've also said, rights are dangerous.
Yeah, you're right. Listen, I've got a very good Second Amendment attorney I work with here in Florida, and he says you also have the right to cheat on your wife, but go ahead and do that and see how that works out for you. It's the best plan just because it's your right to do so.
Right.
And we're talking about, listen, the people that strap on an AK and go to the Starbucks and wait in line, and they say, well, we're here to educate people. That's not how you do it. Listen, you're looking for a little bit of 15 minutes worth of fame. You're trying to get your notoriety out there, and all you're doing is making the rest of the responsible gun owning Americans out there look like you, and that's a jackass.
Well, I still remember one time I was at a Mexican restaurant near the state capitol. This was a while ago. And I remember there were a bunch of guys that were all sitting around in a restaurant open carrying. And I just remembered how weird it felt, because here I am in California. You're just not used to seeing that. Well, it turns out they were all law enforcement. They didn't look like law enforcement, but they were all law enforcement. But, they were dressed, like normal everyday people. And I'm like, but as I've gone to events, as I've gone to places in other states where people open carry and whatnot, it has normalized it for me. But once again, if I went to places where people were open carrying and everyone was walking around in their tactical gear and all of that, well, it has kind of normalized it, because I do that stuff too. But the point is, for the average person, the idea is to create an atmosphere where it just seems normal to be able to carry a tool with you to be able to defend yourself and your family.
Agreed. And again, like, if it's for actual education, if it's for actual, support of your bill that you're either promoting, or the bill that you're up against, I get that. But the in the face, I'm trying to intimidate you, that's got no place in open carry, as far as I'm concerned.
Well, I completely agree. It is an abuse of a right. Yes. And by the way, rights can be abused.
Yeah.
and that is in fact exactly what that is.
Yep.
All right, moving right along, keeping along the same topic of firearms, believe it or not. Oh, cool, talking about firearms here. We've got a case here. So we know that assault weapons ban is passed. Well, let me go back. What they are looking to do in the Senate is to pass an assault weapons ban. And Senator Chris Murphy, who is as anti-gun as they get, has basically made it kind of clear, yeah, we don't have the votes necessary to get rid of assault weapons, because this was, once again, Biden back on Thanksgiving said that he was going to, quote unquote, get rid of assault weapons. Well, without 60 votes in the Senate, meaning without the ability to overturn the filibuster, you will not be able to pass an assault weapons ban. And then if we're talking about before the end of this, unless we're talking about before the end of this year, you won't have enough votes in the House to be able to get rid of assault weapons. And by the way, I am only referring to passing an assault weapons ban, not because I believe they are assault weapons, but because that's the terminology that they use. So just in order to ban center fire semi-automatic rifles with detachable magazines, that's what they have deemed to be. Assault weapons. Anyway, right. Clearly, even the opponents of even the supporters of gun control are like, yeah, no, we don't have what we need to get it done.
No, they don't. But the big fear, Craig, is that Biden will resort to the pen and the executive order and try and do something like this. Just like New York style. Yeah, we don't care. We're going to go ahead and do it on our own. We're just going to make these laws, even though we know they're unconstitutional. He has said, and we know that his predecessor there, his Democrat predecessor, was all about, putting the kids on stage and getting a pen and writing an executive order to try and ban these type of things. So that's the big fear. Did he tip his hat with using executive orders to get rid of assault weapons? Because anybody that can do math knows that you're not going to do it in the Senate. You're going to need 9 or 10 Republicans to come over to the other side. And we know that's not going to happen. And we know that the numbers in the House are not there as well, since the Republicans have taken control of the House. So, it's what the fear is, right? That he's going to go out there and go rogue and start executive ordering away our rights.
Well, I think we're going to be in a good position because we've got a number of different rulings, not just the New York rifle and pistol ruling, but the ruling that actually came out that same week, dealing with overreaching regulations. And because that's what it is going to require, an overreaching regulation. Much like what happened with the bump stock ban, they're going to have to attempt to redefine something that is already defined in law. And they're going to hopefully lose in court miserably. The question is, how long are these things going to be banned? How long are they going to be trying to confiscate them before it's finally struck down by the Supreme Court? Luckily, there are jurisdictions where people can go to and get an injunction in order to keep this thing from going in place. But you got to believe that's exactly what he's going to try and do, is trying to do it through executive fiat.
Well, I mean, that's the fear, right? That we know that the government bodies, government entities give no respect to what the Supreme Court has said or done. They continue to pass, unconstitutional laws with no repercussions to them whatsoever. And we see, how they continue to roll. They don't care if they do this or not. They're going to do it because it's for the children, right? Or for whatever way, whatever method or means they use. To try and violate your rights. It's just there's no respect for the Supreme Court or for the rule of law at all.
Well, none. There was a segment on Meet the Press this past weekend where they were talking about, gun control, and it was amazing to me the amount of misinformation and disinformation that on supposedly this panel of experts. It was surprising to me just the level of misinformation and disinformation that existed and that is being propagated. And, once again, these are the second tier folks. The first tier folks are actually working in the White House. They're working in the House and the Senate. So we know that if these guys are putting out misinformation, we know that the top tier propagandists, they're pushing their propaganda as policy.
Yeah, absolutely, and they'll continue to do so. I don't know what it's going to take. Listen, we, like you said, we saw the EPA versus West Virginia, and we know that federal agencies cannot promulgate laws, but they continue to do so, right? And the ATF is continuing to do it. So how do we know that Joe doesn't go to the ATF and says make assault weapons illegal, and they put it in the Federal Register and it's done? Although we've had the Supreme Court case saying you can't do that.
Right. Yeah. No. Rule of law means absolutely nothing when it's not actually enforced by the law enforcement or by the judicial system.
Right.
Okay, here's one, Mike, and this is one that it's not a huge story in terms of I don't know that it got a huge amount of cover, but to me this was this was unbelievable. So this was a piece that I read. It was in Reason. It was in Reason. It used to be Reason magazine, but now it's just Reason. So a suburban mom, all right, she was put in jail for making her 8-year-old son walk half a mile home. Now, here's the story. I don't know if you had a chance to read it yet, but so this mom was picking her kids up from, I think it was karate class, right? And one of her kids, or her son, was being a bit of a butt, right? He was not being very nice. She was having issues with him. And so she said, you know what? This was her oldest son. She was driving the two boys home, and it says one afternoon says it's from karate. And it basically what she did was he was being a butt. She says, you know what? You're gonna walk the rest of the way home. So evidently they've walked home from this class before. So he's like, fine. And so she puts him out of the car and makes him walk half a mile home. Now, mind you, he's in a suburban neighborhood. He's in his own suburban neighborhood. A neighbor down the street or someone sees him walking, asks, where are you coming from? And he tells her, and he says, I live right down the street. Well, this nosy neighbor calls the police, and Child Protective Services are called out. They bring the boy, they take the boy home. The cops then proceed to ask her, well, it's a pretty long, your child could say something to her. Your child could have been, sex trafficked. It's like, well, it doesn't happen at all. I know you don't believe that because it doesn't happen around here. But where I patrol over in Waco, that does happen. And so basically what he did was he admitted that, yeah, this is a safe neighborhood. That's not really a problem, not really a thing. And then afterwards said to her, would you do it again? And she said, well, yeah, I would. They then, Mike, proceeded to arrest her. Now, she wound up having to do doing a court diversion program because if they had prosecuted her, she was looking at up to 2 years in prison for having her son walk half a mile home at 8 years old. But, Mike, I just, for the life of me, I'm like, when you consider what sort of abusive things parents are doing out there, I cannot believe that this woman, so she went through a diversion program. She had to write a letter stating that she apologized, that she felt guilt and remorse for what she did. And the only reason this happened in 2021, and the only reason she's talking about it now is because now that she's out of the court diversion program, she can now actually talk about it because they can't do anything to her now.
Yeah, Craig, I wonder what the statute of limitations is on this for, because I've got some parents that are probably shaking right now because we used to walk a long distance to school. We used to, I think the rule was the bus, you had to be within 2 miles, over 2 miles away from the school to catch the bus. And it seemed like I always lived 1.8 or 1.9 miles away from the school. So we did a lot of walking, a lot of bike riding and everything else, and it never seemed to be a problem. Again, different times now than then, but the parent, it doesn't make it sound like she made him walk down an interstate highway. She didn't make him walk through the hood. She wasn't walking through Baghdad. The kid wasn't walking through Baghdad. Walked through a nice, safe suburban neighborhood. I don't see the problem. It's 8 years old. Listen, I bet you, I'm betting the mom just didn't drive home and wait for the kid. I'm betting it was one of them a trail you at a distance and watch kind of things, because what parent's going to do that, right? So this is just a sign of the Karens in the windows, right? I think they become the biggest threat there in the neighborhoods, or as we used to call them. Remember what was Mrs. Kravitz, right? Before they were Karens.
Well, Mike, I distinctly remember from kindergarten through third grade, walking at least, it had to be, I'm pretty sure it was at least a half a mile to school, to and from, to walk to and from school. I just never, I remember at 8 years old I remember hopping on my bicycle and riding my bike to the boys club every Saturday. And that was way more than half a mile.
Listen, we used to take ride bikes, used to walk. Hey, at that age, I was taking subways and buses by myself. Where are you going?
Right.
Or we're going to hang out with friends, and we'd go to the mall or something like that. And just as long as we were back by the time, again, before the sun went down and the street lights came on, right? It was good to go. Yeah.
Right. I just, and they've actually done child abduction or sex trafficking with children is from what I understand, it's no more prevalent now than it was when we were kids. The difference is it's being much more widely reported now.
Yeah. It's a shame. It's just, it's people, not minding their own business. And I listen, you see something, you say something, right? But, when you're worried about somebody else's parenting skills while you're sitting home in your window watching my kid, we might have an issue.
Well, and my thing is that, what? Here's the deal. If you're concerned about that kid, do like what, make sure he gets home okay. What what you don't have to what you don't do is you don't call the police, is my point. If there's a point of concern, you want to make sure, you just want to make sure he gets home okay, well, make sure he gets home okay. But you don't have to call the police. But what makes it even worse is the police arrested this woman for basically, in essence, disciplining her child in a non-violent, non-corporal punishment manner.
Now that this has got some national publicity, and I know this has been over a year since this occurred, I guarantee you that a good lawyer is going to pop up, and they're gonna get these charges tossed, get this expunged, and then probably get a nice paycheck from the PD and from the city. To where this kid's probably going to be riding a gold-plated bicycle to school shortly.
Exactly. I think the law enforcement officers should be something should happen to the department for arresting her, and more importantly, the DA's office for even prosecuting this or claiming that they were going to prosecute this.
That's it. Agreed with you, sir. Agreed with you.
Hold them accountable. Okay, in a very lighthearted story, Mike, I've said this, and I don't know how many times. I'm like, when you decide that you are going to troll the richest man in the world or in the country, I don't know if he's the richest man in the world, but the richest man in the country, you put yourself out there. I mean, come on, really? Alyssa Milano decided that she was going to troll Elon Musk. And she's going to do it she was basically publicly talking about how she is getting rid of her Tesla and she is getting a Volkswagen. Well, Mike, there's a little problem. If you're trying to send a message because you don't want to support a fascist, don't you think there's a little bit of a problem with buying a car founded by Nazis?
Yeah. Listen, and confirming it, Elon Musk, currently richest man in the world. So,
okay.
Absolutely. Listen, all I need to know about Samantha, about Alyssa Milano, is that after she did Who's the Boss and before she got a job anywhere else again, remember she grew up, and before she started to become an adult actress, she did a couple of B-rated movies where she was topless through half of them. So that's all I need to know about her morality, is that it suits her when it suits her. All of her feminist viewpoints and anti-gun stances are fine until she's short on cash. Then it's okay to take her shirt off. So I've heard. I haven't actually seen them.
Okay.
In fact, it might be parting shots if you stay tuned, folks. She's a hypocrite. She's guarded by people with guns. You and I have been to rally. She was in Dallas when we were there for the for the NRA show, and she was holding a little rally, protected by armed guards as she's there talking about guns are bad, nobody should have guns. For her to go after Elon Musk and not be able to say, man, Volkswagen. What kind of word is that? It's a German word. When did it start? 1933. It was a state-run, a Nazi-run organization. Yeah, I'm going to buy one of those cars because I'm going to complain about fascism and socialism, but I'm going to buy a car that was built by the Nazis. The company was built by the Nazis, not
right.
Not the car.
And then, by the way, just so y'all know, Volkswagen, as far as we know, is no longer owned by Nazis.
Right? Yes.
As far as we know, I haven't done the research, but so I don't want them coming after us for saying that they're owned by Nazis. But I mean, it is how ignorant. But this, what this reminds me of? This reminds me of baseball moving the World Series to Colorado because of the voting laws there in Georgia, ignoring the fact that the voting laws in the state where their headquarters are more restrictive than they are in Georgia. That would be New York, as well as the laws in Colorado where they moved the World Series to was once again also more restrictive than the laws in Georgia. Is a level of hypocrisy that that would be blinding if the media ever actually held people to account for it.
Yeah, one of only 2 times I've ever rooted for the Braves, by the way, the Atlanta Braves. It's all about her ignorance. How she could call somebody a fascist without realizing that the car company she just bought was created by a fascist government, and probably the world's most renowned, fascist, government.
Well, it just goes to show you as we move on to our parting shots. Well, first of all, this one just kind of a retelling of the story that we just told. It's a picture of Alyssa. That's Alyssa Milano, looking very kind of upset. It's like kind of a dope thing. It says, "You return your Tesla, buy a Volkswagen, and discover the history of Volkswagen."
Yep.
Which, by the way, also kind of goes with this one. Never ask a woman her age, a man his salary, a German company what they were doing between 1933 and 1945.
Yep. Exactly.
Oh, good stuff. Yep. Good stuff. Now, Mike,
that other photo of Melissa Milano. Did you bring that? You're gonna go see that other one?
I did not get the other photo of Melissa Milano. So no.
All right. Okay.
This is a family show. Sorry.
Just checking. Well, those are part of making a family. So.
Okay, moving right along. I hear the president was out during Thanksgiving. Wow. All I have to say is this: now, Mike. I'm gonna have Mike tell you. Mike says this is a real photo. This is not a doctored photo.
Not a doctored photo. The president and his family were doing Thanksgiving up there in, I believe it was in Nantucket. And on Saturday, they went out for a little stroll during Small Business Saturday. You got Black Friday, then you got Small Business Saturday, where you support small businesses trying to get in on the sales. And they were walking down the boulevard there, and people recognized them, and some people inside the restaurant were trying to get photos of them. And so old Creepy Joe decided he had to make an appearance, and this is an actual photo of him looking in with these children taking a photo of him. It's just so creepy. It's just, this guy could not look more like a pervert, than anybody else. No. And
he looks like he's like, why can't I smell her hair?
That's it. Exactly.
Dude.
So,
You have people who you pay so that you don't look like Creepy Joe. All right.
Listen, there's a pane of glass between these children and her and him. And the one girl, she's obviously like amazed. Oh my God, look, there's a creepy old man. And the other girl is she's got a pane of glass between him and Joe, and she's still leaning forward to get away from him.
Wow. Okay. And finally, for Thanksgiving, I don't know how many of you had friends or family over for dinner and had to deal with, and that you disagree with for politics. We generally, most of the folks who come to my Thanksgiving dinner tend to agree with me, except for my brother. But I love this one. It's got that meme. It says, "I said no politics at Thanksgiving dinner." It's got the two. Who are those two women? Anyway.
I think that's from the Crazy Wives of LA Hot Wife, Crazy Wives.
Okay, one of those shows. Anyway, and then you have the cat sitting at the table across. You've seen these memes before, and it says the two ladies are saying, "I said no politics at Thanksgiving," and then it's got the cat sitting there looking all cat-ish, I guess. It says, "Dinner was magnificent." And MAGA is capitalized. So that was funny. Good times. Yeah.
That cat right there made me a cat person. Just saying. Nothing against dogs, but just added cats to the
yeah, I'm sure. All right, Mike. Wow, we're running a little over time, so let's get on and give a shout out to our sponsors before we go.
Let's do it. Let's wrap it up. Let's say a good day to our friends over at Hitman Industries, hitmanindustries.net. They've got pistol caliber, rifle caliber, pistol length, rifle length barrels. Just to hit them up, go get you a new barrel at hitmanindustries.net. California Republican Assembly, make sure you look them up. Help contribute so they can contribute to your Republican society there in California. You want some awesome field gear to go with you, stuff that you could wear while you're carrying around your firearms open carry, go to uscombatgear.com. And of course, if you want to conceal carry your firearm and do it in the best holsters around, go to hawgholsters.com, HAWG holsters.com. Use the discount code, The Rundown, all cap, all one word.
For tuning in. Thank you for liking and sharing the program and encouraging your friends to do the same. We will be back tomorrow. Same bat time, same bat channel for Taco Tuesday. I'll let you tomorrow.